Our story starts in Manchester, England in the 1980s with young Martin Fletcher, who was a very talented football player. From the moment his feet touched the ball, he knew that one day he was going to make it as a professional. Martin's talents quickly caught the eye of his beloved Manchester United. Alex Ferguson made the trip himself to Martin's house to sell the club to his parents and was also present when he signed his first youth contract. Martin was about to become part of something very special, the Manchester United youth team that would go on to win the FA Youth Cup. He played with the future class of 92 stars like Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, Nicky Butt and of course David Beckham. Now at the Cliff training ground, this whole group was being talked about like they would all make it, but one player stood out head and shoulders above the rest, Martin Fletcher. But fate dealt Martin a cruel blow. Serious knee injury sidelined him for a year and put into doubt him ever getting the chance to play on the hallowed turf of Old Trafford. He had to sit and watch as one by one other players on the youth team started to make their full team debuts. Not being able to play and with thoughts that his dream could be over started Martin on a mental path into darkness for the first time in his young life. Once his knee had healed, the club decided to let him go, stating that they thought he'd lost his pace due to the injury. Martin was devastated. The likes of Neville, Scholes and Becks were all cementing themselves as United players, while he, the one who they all thought would definitely make it, had missed his chance. Even the likes of Ben Thornley and Robbie Savage looked like they were going to play at high level one day, and they were crap. Now maybe Martin had lost a yard of pace, but he still had ability, and luckily for Martin he was given a lifeline to play with Oldham Athletic. He saw this as a chance to show what he could do and then hopefully work his way into the Premier League one day. But that day would never come, as the class of 92 won trophy after trophy with Man United, including the famous treble of 99. He found himself being an average player at best for Oldham. You see, Martin's trouble was always on the mental side, not with his ability on the ball. Not only had he lost pace, but he'd lost his confidence and was clouded by self-doubt. Some days he'd just come home and just think about ending it all. Would anyone really miss him? Would anyone care? But then, things did start to look up for Martin when he met his wife and they had their daughter. On the field, things never really took off for him. After he was released by Oldham, he played out the rest of his career for teams like Altrincham and finally Crawley FC. And once he reached 38 years old and after playing through way too many injuries, he finally had to hang up his boots and call it a day on his footballing life. And with little to no money and a family to feed, Martin started his own window cleaning business. From the outside in and on the surface of things, everything looked great. But in his own mind, Martin was in a very, very dark place. Unbeknownst to his wife, Martin had set up a noose in the garage. And when she thought he was potting around fixing things, he was in fact drinking way too much whiskey, sitting in a chair and looking at the noose, wondering why his life hadn't gone how it was supposed to. His head filled constantly with shame and regret and despair. He felt worthless. Even though he had a job, a wife, a daughter, he never felt good enough. He felt like a failure and that the world would be better off if he wasn't in it. But even in his darkest moments, he just couldn't go through with ending it all. His daughter's face would always flash in his mind and stop him from taking that final step. But this though was all going to change. Martin's wife had been as supportive as she could with him, but she had never really understood depression. She was old school. She felt like he should just man up, but he couldn't. He needed help, and in his hour of need, Martin's wife had, well, enough, stating that she was leaving and taking their daughter with her, and that she thought she was going to be marrying a David Beckham, not a David Brent. Martin started to spiral into the deepest depression of his life. He saw no escape from it. He had now lost everything and saw no light at the end of the tunnel. Too many drinking sessions led him to falling from his ladder at work, resulting in him having to quit his job. And now, with no money, no family, nothing to look forward to, he went into the garage, back to his chair, to the noose. This was it. Time to go. Time to free the world of me, he thought. But just as he was about to do it, his phone rang. He had a job interview as a caretaker at a local school. Martin decided to give life one more go, especially because of his daughter. But life wasn't on Martin's side that day, and as he fell to pieces in the interview, resulting in him not getting the job, he slowly made his way home in the rain. As he looked up, he saw a huge billboard with David Beckham's latest advert for his new aftershave. That was it, the moment that tipped the scales. He had been a better player than Becks. He'd always liked David Beckham when they were kids, but now Becks is the one who went on to have an amazing career. He's the one still making millions, whilst I'm the one stood in the rain without any money for the bus, without anyone, without any hope. Now was the time to save the world for me, Martin said, and he couldn't wait to go home to the garage. Instead, he walked up to the top of a nearby bridge and climbed over the rail. As he looked down, he never felt worse. Not only did he think the world would be better off without him, he was sick of himself and the voice in his head. The image of his daughter had stopped him killing himself so many times before, but even that wasn't going to stop him today. Now was the time. Just then, an ambulance was coming past. The paramedic had spotted Martin on the ledge and slammed on the brakes. He had suffered with depression in the past and had almost taken his own life too. But he'd sought help and had come across an amazing mental health charity called Mind Connect. He managed to talk Martin back over the ledge and promised to take him there, to at least give it one shot before he finally gave up on life. Reluctantly, Martin went with the paramedic. Over the next few weeks, Martin worked with the founder of Mind Connect, Lee Monaghan. With Lee and his team's help, Martin started to turn a corner. In each session, Martin learned what his triggers were. He learned new techniques to help him cope, and he also learned how to control his responses. Martin still had no job or family, but he had hope. He started to believe that his life had value for the first time in years. Now, one thing Mind Connect teach you is how movement can impact your mind. Not only does exercise release endorphins that help relieve pain and lower stress, it helps with feelings of pleasure and elevates your mood, something Martin could relate to. Because since he'd been released by Manchester United, the only time he'd ever had peace mentally had been when he was running around a football pitch. He knew he could help out in some way. Feeling better and wanting to give something back to Lee and his team for all the help they'd given him, Martin proposed they organise a charity football game. With Lee Monaghan's connections to Everton, they managed to acquire the use of the stadium, Goodison Park, for the match. It would be a team of celebrities versus a team of people who'd come through the Mind Connect programme. The day was a huge success and it raised thousands for their mental health charity. In fact, everyone had so much fun, Lee Monaghan decided that they should make the team a regular thing, and he asked Martin to become the manager and come and work for him. Now, not only did Martin feel great mentally, but now he had a job and a purpose. Mind Connect FC was born. Over the next few years, the team grew and grew, raising thousands of pounds for charity and creating much needed awareness for mental health around the northwest of England. The newly formed club gained so much attention through the great work it was doing, it started to get regular crowds of 500 people watching them on a Sunday league every week. This attention had caught the eye of a local computer businessman, Lee Greenshields. He had previously had one-to-one sessions with Lee and Mind Connect in the past and wanted to help. He felt like this charity-based football club could really help people if they became a real football club. So he decided to invest £1 million of his own money into Mind Connect FC with the intention of getting them into the English football pyramid properly. 10 years earlier, the local team Highton Town FC folded, and their stadium, Highton Park, had been rotting away ever since. With the help of Lee Greenshields, Mind Connect FC bought the old stadium. The whole community joined in to help restore it. Builders, plumbers, electricians, painters, bakers, candlestick makers, everyone chipped in to get Highton Park up to scratch. And within the first few years, Mind Connect FC, under the guidance of manager Martin Fletcher, blew up the leagues. With Lee Monaghan as chairman and Lee Greenshields on the board, the club just grew and grew. They had players offering their services because they had suffered with mental health problems. They had players wanting to play because of the positive message the club showed the world. Martin had once almost thrown his life away. He had never spoke to anyone about what was going on inside his mind, but he was living proof that even in your darkest hour, there is always someone somewhere willing to help and guide you, and it's always good to talk. And because he did reach out and accept help, here he is, living his best life. With the club now in the Vanarama North, Martin decided to step down as manager and take on the role of director of football. And with his new life and his new wife, he was grateful to still be here. A new life was worth living, and that every day he had on this earth was a blessing. So can this charity-based fan-owned club keep rising to the top? Will Mind Connect FC ever reach the dizzying heights of the Premier League where they could really raise awareness for mental health? Well, we will find out exactly how this fantastic little club gets on in the story of Mind Connect FC. Hello, I'm Bood and welcome to another video. As always, thanks for joining me. It's massively appreciated. Make sure you do all the good stuff to help support me, the series, my channel, and this video by smashing that thumbs up, getting involved in the comments, subscribe if you're new, and hit that bell, and you'll never miss anything I do. And if you always want to help the channel that little bit more, you can always become a patron. My patrons are legendary. You'll find a link to that down below in the description. But welcome to Mind Connect FC, a story video. You've seen the story. Now, the basis of this is I have a very good friend, Lee Monaghan, most of you'll know that, who was a mental health nurse who helped with some other people form his own mental health charity called Evolving Mindset, and I've promoted them for years. I've done a video similar to this to help promote them a couple of years ago now. But Lee and Evolving Mindset have parted ways. Nothing bad, they've just got different visions for what they want to do. And Lee's gone out on his own and set up his own company and charity, Mind Connect. So, I'll get the ball rolling, seeing as it's May, which is Mental Health Month. Help raise awareness, not just for Mind Connect and Limo, but for mental health, because it's a big issue. I've got friends, my wife suffered with it. It's a big thing, and I think it's always good to raise awareness of things like this. We're going to try and do a bit more in the future. I've got a little video hopefully coming out soon with me, Limo and Greeno, because them two are going to be doing a marathon stream, possible 24-hour stream soon, maybe in June, to raise money, to raise awareness again for mental health. I'm going to be taking part in it, although I don't know why I'm doing it. I'm going to be driving to Liverpool, going live with Lee for a couple of hours, Lee Monaghan, and then I'm going to be jumping in my car, driving down the motorway to Swindon to join Lee Greenshields live on his part of the stream, and then I've got to get myself home, but it's going to be a good day. Hopefully we can raise lots and lots of money. But for now, this video, we've used Martin Fletcher as the basis to get to this point. I like doing character stories, but sometimes it's good to be a bit different. This is going to be a club story. We're going to follow the story of Mind Connect FC and see how well they do. And as always, man, thank you for your view. So of course, you've seen the story. You know that I've kind of bypassed them first few years, and they're now in the Vanarama National League North. Mainly because sometimes when you download these databases, they don't always work perfectly. So I just wanted to use a proper database, and the lowest league, playable league in England, is the Vanarama North. So they've got here now. They're growing as a club, but can they keep growing? Because they are fan-owned. I've made sure they can have no outside takeovers. They've got no major investment apart from Lee Greenshields in the story. Gave him £1 million. And the only input I've put in financially, no sponsorships or anything. The computer will do that itself. The only one I've put in is a £200,000 a year contract from the government, like a government grant, like it's a lottery fund, because they're kind of a charity raising awareness. So I don't know what's going to happen here. You know, I've jumped 30 years into the future. Anything could happen, I suppose. But without that outside investment, will they grow? Will they ever reach the Premier League? I think that'd be absolutely bonkers if a team like this could. But I have given them a good foundation. So they've got Lee Monaghan. He's not a rich chairman. He is just the chairperson and owner of Mind Connect. Lee Greenshields is on the board. And of course, Martin Fletcher is a director of football. Now in the story, I had him as the manager, and I did consider keeping him as the manager, but I didn't want him to be the manager. His story's done. I want it to just be about the club, really. But he's the director of football. He's pretty good. He's got potential to be good. Hopefully he can help the club grow. With the other staff and players, I've just went through a normal standard database looking for freebies. So Colin Cooper was about, and he was just one of the best English managers, I think, that you can get on a free that wasn't attached to another club. Player-wise, the same. I was just looking for players, all English, to get the ball rolling, who weren't attached to a club. Now, there's some decent ones, like Danny Rose, who's player assistant manager. Apparently, he suffered with mental health, so I thought he'd be great to put in here. I think we've got Ryan Bertrand. I'm pretty sure. I thought I did, maybe not. But a lot of them, you might notice a lot of these names. Some of them are probably decent players, and some of them aren't. I was just looking for good players for free. I did try and change the wages, and I've said this a million times with the editor. I'm pretty good with it, but at certain times it just doesn't work how you want it to, and it just will not let me change those freaking wages. So, you know, it's a big wage bill there. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to release this save file. So it's going to have every character I've made so far this year and Mind Connect FC. I'll give you the kits and the club logos as well. And you can have a go. We'll have to get out of this league fast. So of course, I've got a pretty good squad for this level. It should be they should fly out the non-league, I think, if they can keep these players they've got. They've pretty much nearly got the Media Dream Team 11 there, haven't they? So when it comes to facilities, within the story, I based it around Lee Monaghan's hometown. He lives around that area in Huyton. So I made the fictional Huyton Town FC, and they've obviously took over Huyton Park, regenerated it. Big charity fund day to get it back up to scratch, and they've been playing there ever since. It's based in Liverpool. Good capacity, decent amount of seats. Now, there's a few things you might notice. Like, it was built in 1936, obviously, and rebuilt in 2020, and they've flown up them first few leagues, okay? Now, if you look at the badge of the team, it does say 2024 because we designed that badge for an actual football kit we wanted to make that we don't know if we're going to be able to get done now. So that's why the badge says 2024, if you're wondering. But, average everything else. It's a club you could grow with a challenge if you want to have a go. It's always a good year, this time of year. If you're wanting a challenge and you want something different and something like this comes along, some random team that doesn't exist, with a purpose, you know what I mean? Fan owned as well. There's no elections. So Lee Monaghan could stay chairman forever. Can't be asked for elections. And don't forget, this save file will have every character so far that's been in every story on this year's game on 2024. The Ivanov brothers, Ollie Smith, Alex from the last story I made, Ahmad from the documentary. Talking of that, Greeno is really getting together all the stuff he needs. Hopefully that documentary, another one, will be out next week. Might not be as long, but it should be fun. And Ewan McLeod, the old guy from Keith, still love Keith. So here we are now. It's the 1st July 2033, and like I said, I've jumped forward 30 years, so we're going to jump in at various points to see what's been going on. As you can see, they're in Sky Bet League One. I mean, that could be it, but that's pretty cool. They've got there in 10 years. Still play at Highton Park. Let's take a look at this little journey. So obviously they won that. They should be doing. They won the Vanarama National. And then they won Sky Bet League 2. They flew. They flew with that squad I give them. It's pretty good. It's a decent squad. Like I said, it's probably 50% decent players that shouldn't be at that level and some that should, really. Then they finished 14th in League 1. 6, of course, looks like they won the playoffs. And they've actually had a stint, no way, in the Championship when they've gone straight back down. And now they've been floating around in League 1. I mean, that's where I see it, really. Of course, a couple of trophies, but they've won the Isuzu FA Trophy. When they change the names of sponsors, I always forget which one's which. Not the best for that. Now, I know I didn't show you any of the players at the beginning because it's the beginning. And I'm kind of hoping you're going to download the save file and have a go yourself. If you can, have a look at it, have a good nosy. But we'll have a look now. They've got a guy on loan here called Jerry, who's a regen from Sheffield United. Jace Fitzgerald, not a clue. Martin Burstow. Now, I reckon I've jumped in obviously to see certain things. I'm sure he's a bit of a legend for the team. Now, staff-wise, Martin Fletcher's gone. He's retired. He has disappeared. Fair play to him. Lee Greenshields is still on the board as a managing director, but we have a new chairperson. Lee Monaghan left in 2030, 3 years ago. He's laid that foundation. He's concentrating on Mind Connect now fully, away from the football side of things. He's getting old. He's pretty old, Lee, to be fair. New chairperson Matt Nightingale takes over, promotion from within, and then withdraws funding a year later. But this is that best 11, and any fan of non-league or lower level football might recognise some of these names. I mean, I recognise some of the faces, and I've heard a few of the names I chose. Like I said, I was just picking guys that were free and available at the very beginning of the game. But yeah, look, Martin Burstow, some player, some game time. So what are their chances this year? They've been floating around in League One for a while, and the bookies have got them at 6th. I'm hoping we get to see him back in the Championship. Well, here we go. It's 2043, and yes, they are Premier League. And they're playing at Bramley Moor Dock Stadium, which is, of course, Everton's new stadium. So I'm guessing something's happening with theirs at this point in time. But the Premier League, amazing. Now, I did know they got there, but I didn't know how well I've not checked the next 10 years after this. I've not had time. So they did make it to the Premier League, which personally I think is quite mad, really. Because like I said, I didn't give them a commercial income like I do sometimes with these little clubs that help them fly up the leagues, where they guaranteed millions every year. It was a £200 a year government grant. That was it. They didn't have anyone rich on the board. They can't have any takeovers coming in. So I was quite surprised. Now we know they got relegated out of the Championship and floated around in League One, but they finally finished second, got promoted back to the Championship, where they finished 23rd. Did a little bit better this time and went back down. And then they spent a few years floating around in League One again. But then look at that. How mad's that curve? Where's that curve come from? Winning League One, finishing 3rd in the Championship, and then 15th, 13th, and 8th in the Premier League, getting freaking European football. Come on. And then I went on their history and noticed they'd won a major trophy, the Carabao Cup. All right, it's not the biggest or the best, but it's Mind Connect FC. Things have changed at this club. So, new chairperson. Hate that. Chairman. It's chairman. Ed Gordon. And looks like Lee Greenshields has gone. Now, Mason Burstow, what a legend he was for the club. He's retired. But look at that. What a player. 160 goals nearly. Mega appearances for the team. A true legend. Up there with Jace Fitzgerald. 36-year-old Jace, haven't got a face. Who left Mineconnect to play for Blackburn. I bet Lee Greenshields, the Blackburn fan, did that deal before he left. Turncoat. So let's have a look at this. They're obviously playing at Bramley Moor Dock at the minute because they're due to move back into the 16.5 capacity Iron Park. So they're not building a new one. I'm happy. They're keeping the old girl. They're keeping her. And of course, now they're in the Premier League. So let's check out some of these players. We've got Kyle Sadler. Probably all going to be regens. Josh Ward. He looks pretty good, doesn't he? Dylan McConnell. Yeah, they've got some decent players, to be fair. And they look like they've steadied the ship within the Premier League. I would love it when we jump to 2053 if they are not only Premier League, but they've won it. Can they win something in Europe? Can they win an FA Cup? That's what I'm hoping for. Because they've already surpassed my expectations of making a club like this. To be fair, normally, like I've said, in challenges I've done and experiments I've done, you give these teams lots of money and they get up the leagues. Probably in a lot more quickly and a lot more steady. But I was buzzing. So where are they? Oh, bloody hell. I mean, I thought they steadied the ship there. Didn't they finish 8th? But they predicted to be 19th. Ouch. I mean, they've got to be better than that. Surely they seem better than that. Look at this Premier League, by the way. Derby County are in it. Birmingham are in it. I've got 2 very good friends, Mitchell and Joe, who will love that. Another friend of mine, a couple of friends I've got, Spurs fans, Lee Masters, man. He will love that. Tottenham never do shit. Tottenham never do anything. Have you seen my Ivanov story video? Forged in Deception, the first one of this year, I think it was. One of the brothers goes to Spurs and he wins like 2 trophies, and the other 2 go to Newcastle United, win loads of trophies. And then that's the beauty of this game. You can run these simulations, no changes really. Spurs, look at them. Right, let's get stuck into this. It's 2053. This is the save file I've not had a chance to look at, the final one, because I've had it running the last bit while I've been at work this morning. But great, straight away, they are in the Premier League. So I'm hoping they stayed in the Premier League. And I've also noticed, last time we looked 10 years ago, they were waiting to go back to Highton Park. They've built a stadium called the Mineconnect Stadium, which is 35,000 seater. Fantastic. Great stuff. Now, I've noticed Josh Ward, who we highlighted earlier, is a favoured personnel. How is Barstow not on there? Oh, no. No. No, it looked like they were on a slide. It was 8, weren't they 8th? They finished 8th last time we looked. Where's that? There. So they got a 9th, 15th, a 9th, a 17th. They were close. Sorting themselves out 12th, but then there's a slip here. 16th, 20th, bottom of the league, got relegated. Absolutely trounced the next year, only finishing 16th in the Championship. Managed 4th, so playoffs. And then they finished 15th. That's it. This is the end. I mean, I think it's good enough they've done what they've done anyway, when you think of where the club was and who they are, with the finances, to get to the Premier League to win a Carabao Cup. But there's also still a party that wishes they won the Premier League. Would have been nice, wouldn't it? Nice little cherry on top of the cake story, you know what I mean? A little bit of sugar on top. Maybe some form of European trophy. But I'm still pretty chuffed about how that turned out, to be fair. I believe that 2049 they built the Mineconnect Stadium, so they've been in it, what, 4 years. Got a massive stadium sponsorship deal, which is something they probably need, which is pretty cool. Excellent training, top corporate, superb youth. I mean, they're in a great spot. Hopefully, in an imaginary world, they can stay there. And if you do try this out, let me know you go. Let me know how long it takes you to get to the Premier League. Can you stay in the Premier League? Can you win more than a Carabao Cup? Player-wise, obviously, again, regen, so we don't know who they are. But wow, he's all right, isn't he? Obviously wanted. Looks like he wants to leave. Bloody hell. Fair enough. Stuart Thompson. Kai Kuhn. What's her name? Love that. Or is it Kai Kuhn? I don't know. Georgios Provatidis. They're in the Premier League at the end. So let's take a look at this. Obviously, we know Lee Monaghan left in 2030. We've got Mike Nightingale, who withdrew his funding. They failed financial fair play regulations. Matt Nightingale left. So they've got Gary Coe. Gary Coe left after a few years. They've got Ed Gordon. Ed Gordon stayed for, 10 years? And now they've got Salem Ali as the new chairman. Man. Now, manager-wise, it's bonkers. Now, Colin Cooper stayed for quite a while because he had a lot of glory, didn't he, in the early years. And when he got to a certain point, he couldn't take them to where they obviously wanted to go. But they were quite sack-happy. Limo was quite sack-happy after that. A year and a bit. Limo left a year and a bit. I mean, Chris Moore. 90 days and he left. We had someone here resigning after a year. A couple of guys sacked. I thought that was Jose Mourinho then. My eyes a bit bright in here. John Messino. Was it Jose freaking Mourinho? No. A couple of guys sacked. Someone resigning after 2 years. I'm guessing he won the cup. Did he win the cup? I'm guessing the Carabao Cup, whoever he is. So yeah, they've had a lot of managers in 30 years, haven't they? So of course, the Carabao Cup was the pinnacle of this club's history. It's a great trophy. It sits in pride of place in the new trophy room at the Mind Connect Stadium. And they beat Chelsea. They beat Chelsea in the final. Now, of course, I've had to go back quite a few years to see how they did it. But they played Tranmere, would have been a local team. Beat Cardiff on penalties. Beat Manchester United 2-1. Arsenal on penalties. They nearly slipped up against Norwich, but recovered in the second leg. And then beat Chelsea. What a year. What a year. So I'm really chuffed they got at least one proper trophy. Mr. Burstow can't make any lists, but he's still there in that best 11 with Dykes, them two. Absolute ballers. So, as always, thank you. It's just a bit of fun this. We were just following the club. There's not too much to look at. No European adventures. I know. It's more about this video, raising awareness for mental health. And if you are suffering, just reach out. And I can honestly advise you to get in touch with Lee Monaghan and his team at Mind Connect, because he does great work. He's helped thousands of people come through tough times. I'll put links for Mind Connect in the description of the video. And again, like I said, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, May. So it's just a great thing to do, I think. Do your bit. And like I said, look out for a little video coming out soon. It'll just be me, Greeno and Limo. And we're going to talk about the stream. Just try and drum up an interest in it. It'll be on a Saturday in June, I think. Where you can just jump in for a bit, hopefully donate. And we'll just try and raise as much cash as possible. So as always, thank you for your time. Thank you for your view. If you want to support this video, let's get more people out there watching it. Make a bit of story bit, but hopefully again to raise awareness. Thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Go and check out all my older stories, not just from FM24. Playlist down below from the last few years. And a lot of good ones, even though we're on older games. You might have a bit of fun with them. But yeah, just stay good, stay happy. I hope you're happy. You can always reach out to me if you want. So be good. I love you long time. I'm Bood. Bye-bye.